Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name's Alex Nestor. I'm an investigative fellow with Parents Defending Education, and this is Parents on the Hill Defending Education. It can be really difficult for parents to get a sense of who their members of Congress really are through the lens of media coverage. So we're bringing Congress to you. Today, we're excited to bring you another member of Congress who's fighting the good fight for parents, kids, and schools. It's a privilege to introduce to you Representative Burgess Owens. Congressman Owens is a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and he represents Utah's 4th Congressional District, which covers parts of Salt Lake City. Representative Owens is probably best known for being a Super Bowl champion football player, winning the Super Bowl with the Oakland Raiders in 1980, as well as founding a nonprofit, Second Chance for Youth, which helps troubled and incarcerated kids. Congressman Owens is also the proud father of 6 kids and I believe 17 grandchildren. Is that right?
Right, correct. Yes.
That's awesome. So, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. And I was just thinking as we were coming on, defending education, parents defending education. If I could just kind of highlight what that truly means is parents defending America, because education is the foundation of everything we believe in. It's the foundation of our culture. So thank you guys for, first of all, being involved. What you're doing right now is intergenerational change. It's going to impact lives of people you'll never ever get a chance to meet, but we will become a more perfect union because of the efforts we're putting in right now. So thanks so much for everything you're doing right there to make this work.
Well, it's our honor. Thank you so much for your kind words. And we're so grateful for all of your work as well. Namely, one of your more recent things, you're launching a House caucus dedicated to merit in education. Right now in K-12 and higher education, some folks are denouncing merit, hard work, showing the right answer in math as symptoms of white supremacy. So what does merit mean to you, and why are you taking up this issue right now?
Well, merit actually is we talk about our country and what it is, what defines our nation. It's not only risk-taking, but it's hard work. It's getting back up when things go south. It's recognizing it's looking at the value. We all have value, but looking at each other from inside out, not outside in. And the closer we can become to tie into things of meritocracy, the better, the more respect we get from those around us. And that's what our country comes down to. It really is a more perfect union is one that sees each other from inside out, not outside in. And how do we do that? It's through merit. It's commanding respect by working harder, running harder, studying harder, getting results. And people look at you and say, you know what, I respect that person because of everything that they do to win. So we're going to win. Like this is, again, it's within the DNA of Americans to do what we're doing here. We've taken a little bit of a detour, unfortunately, down this pathway of, I'm going to call it Marxism, in which we look at things quite differently. That's not who we are, though. So moving forward, meritocracy will be our foundation, our goal. We have people in Congress who, particularly my side aisle, to believe in this. That's how we got to where we are today. We need to make sure we teach our kids this. So I'm excited about having a caucus that deals with merit and have this conversation and getting back to the good old-fashioned American way of hard work.
That's great. So talk more about why education is such an important issue to you.
That's a good question. And I will say this, I was raised by a remarkable generation. We call it the greatest generation. Dads who came back from World War II. And there was something about that generation that was very different than we are today. We were not assimilating as we are today. We were not as races coming together. We were pretty much segregated. I grew up in a deep South Tallahassee. My first exposure to white Americans was until I was 16 years old. But there's something that they all believed in. Every community separately, first of all, loved being Americans and believed the concept of meritocracy. Part of meritocracy was education. It was faith, family, the free market, and education. And education was that one way that we can go out and make sure that we can present ourselves well. We can articulate ourselves well. We can get into a group of people and people will leave respecting and respecting the person, the way we think, and the way we move forward in our vision. So those are the things that we believed in very strongly. And because of that, I grew up in a community that was all in. My dad was an educator for 40 years. My mom was also an educator. And it was something that when you learn how to think, the confidence that grows from within. Matter of fact, the better we can think, the better we can convey articulate our thoughts, the better we can even look at different ways of life and agree to disagree because we have the confidence in ourselves. And that was the era that I grew up in, by the way. We didn't agree on everything. My dad and I didn't agree on everything. But at the end of the day, he would have so much respect for me if I can come to the plate with an argument, with a way of phrasing myself respectfully. That was what he was trying to make sure that his kids could do, learn how to think. So that's what our goal is right now in our country. We're going to have the greatest thing about our nation is how diverse we are in terms of the background, our history, our color, our culture. But what's also very, very unique is how we take that diversity and we put it into one place that we want to make sure that we are becoming a more perfect union, that Americans, as Americans, we're showing our best. And that comes again through the education and make sure we can have the dialogue between each other and move forward in that process. So I'm excited about making sure that our young kids understand that process and continue that dialogue moving forward.
Definitely. I think your point about respecting one another, mutual respect, and having that dialogue is so important. It's something we're really missing right now. Within the space of education and specifically K-12 education, are there issues, merit and other issues that you're particularly passionate about?
I think what it comes down to, my passion really goes back to my history, understanding growing up the respect that the field of education had among all Americans, the respect that teachers had because they were truly building our future. Their success, and they took this on as a mission. Their success as making sure that the kids that came through their classrooms for a year or two could go out there and produce and reflect back on their success on the community they grew up in. So we have to make sure we get back to that respect. And it comes down to one simple thing, meritocracy. And every other profession that we have, the very, very best are the ones that we lean in toward. Whether it be a fast food place where we decide what hotel we're going to stay at every particular night, it's based on our thoughts, convenience, price, whatever it might be that drives us, we make that decision. Quality is one thing that we all will say is a key factor of this process. Well, education should be looked at the same way. Not only should we have quality, we have high expectations, and the results or the products that come out of that classroom, our kids can go out and produce and make us all proud. That should be where we're working to get back to. And that's going to happen, again, when we start having competition, where we find a way to, and this is where the innovation comes in. We need to find a way to reward good teachers, those who really love this. They have a mission anyway, but it's sad we have good people have a mission, but they just can't afford to do it anymore. We should be a place of education because it's so important that people making good income outside education because they have a passion for it, they can afford to leave that, whatever that is, and come to this arena and bring that talent with them, the innovation, and their desire to make sure that those kids are growing. So we have to do that. I think we're in a position now where for the first time in my life, I've always known the importance of this process because I grew up in it. But I don't know if we've ever had where the American people have really come to really understand that this is something our kids deserve. And I think because of the last few years of COVID, that parents are saying, you know what, we got to do something different. This is not working. We're having too much learning loss. We have too many kids not learning how to read and write in 2024. Not knowing how to read and write is ridiculous. And too many kids are in that position. There was something that Thomas Jefferson said, ignorant and free can never be. They understood as a founders that education, the way to think, to have a vision, to be optimistic about the future is all about what America really is all about. It's who we are. So that being said, we're going to make sure those changes come. A lot of it will be making sure that we can figure out a way to take the levers, the strings attached from federal government, put that back into the states, to the districts, where people really understand how best to educate their kids and know the needs of their children. We do not need bureaucrats here in DC dictating to everybody how that process should look. So we're going to be looking at doing that at the same time, being very innovative in terms of how we can use federal dollars, maybe in tax credits or whatever, to encourage the choices of kids across the country and the growing of our educational educators to where it could be a remarkable group of people that can push our kids further to a different generation.
Yeah. That's great. And speaking of government bureaucracy in DC controlling education across the country, obviously we believe that education is fundamentally a state and local issue. But something that came down the pike from the Biden administration this spring would seek to essentially destroy Title IX, inject gender ideology into Title IX, change the definition of sex to mean gender identity, and thereby eliminating women's sports and spaces. Your colleagues introduced a Congressional Review Act to block this. And in the same way that we want every child to have the opportunity to succeed in the classroom, we also want women in sports to have the same opportunities to succeed. And we know women have been denied awards because they've been forced to compete against males. So, as an athlete yourself, can you speak to the importance of Title IX and what you think might happen from here?
Well, this speaks to the importance of not letting bureaucrats in DC dictate what we the people do. All of us who understands, anybody who's been an athlete, all of us understands how crazy this is. It makes no sense whatsoever. But when you have power, a centralized sense of power in DC, and everything's driven by the Department of Education, they can make rules, any rules they want to. They can have a handful of people who have no idea who they are. That has to change. We have to cut that tie of dictating values and morals. And something as simple as easy to understand is the difference between men and women. The fact we're having this conversation says a lot about make sure we get the power back to we the people. So yes, we're going to stop. We have a CRA that's going to stop that rulemaking. I think one of the best things that could have happened just recently is the Chevron difference. For those who are aware of that, over the last 40 years, this is where DC has been working out. Bureaucrats hiding behind computers, coming up with rules and dictating those rules and pushing it down to everybody. And that's not only in education, but that's in business ownership. It's across the board to the point where DC was actually running our country. So we're going to fight up against this. I think the timing is right. Americans realize this is not right to take away the rights and opportunities, the dreams of women. And we're not gonna let it happen. So that CR will be voted on this week. Just know that the upside of this, the Supreme Court ruling with the Chevron deference, these kind of things cannot continue moving forward. We'll have to go ahead and work on the ones that are in place already. We'll have to make sure we go back and figure out how to rectify that. But moving forward, the rulemaking that you're now seeing coming down is not going to continue. So we're excited about that. So just know women's sports will be saved for women. And we now have a Congress in place that's going to make sure that stays the course for sure.
That's great. And speaking of what you and your colleagues are up to, obviously, we've got an election this year. We're also in the last few months of the 118th Congress. So could you talk a little bit more about what you and your colleagues are up to the second half of this year?
I'll say this, and I have to thank the American people. This is my I'm going to my third term. I would say the first term, the 117th Congress, was probably one of the most innovative legislative bodies that we've had in a long time. When I say that, it's America first. It's good old common sense. It's learning that through meritocracy, through education, through hard work, for second chances, that our country is truly a remarkable place to be. And because of this group that came in, we're looking at how can we innovatively release the potential of our country again. How do we think outside the box? Well, so we had 117th, this last Congress, 118th is the same, and we have a chance this year for the American people to truly send Americans here, folks like myself who never thought I'd be a politician, but love our nation and realize there's one area that I can maybe make a difference, and if I can, I will take every chance to do so. And do so. In my case, it was education. In some cases, it might be the military. Everyone has their own niche, their own mission, but at the end of the day, if we bring innovation to that, and that innovation comes down to this: listening to the people and the innovators, the stakeholders out there in the country, building their businesses, building their school systems, building their kids' education, hearing from them how to best bring that innovation to legislation. If you put that together, all of a sudden we open the doors. We give our businesses, our educational systems, our school systems that leeway, that runway to run down, to run after the goals that they've had to make things work. So I think we're in a position to do some really remarkable things. I mentioned we have educational choice, in which we're not using local dollars. We're using federal tax credits to individuals and corporations that want to give parents across the country the opportunity to send their kids to any place they want to go. We're looking at bringing innovation to the school systems where the kids can begin to get the teaching and the education that works for them. Those are the kind of things we're going to make sure we will make available to all kids, no matter what zip code they might live in.
That's wonderful. And I think that's a great place to end our conversation. Parents, you can keep up with Congressman Owens on Facebook or X, formerly Twitter. His official website is owens.house.gov. As always, it's so important to be aware of what your children are being exposed to at school and ask questions. If you find something concerning at your school, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at defendinged.org. We're here to empower parents and to help expose the concerning issues happening in our schools. Share this video with friends and tag us. Thank you again, Congressman, and see you next time, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. All the best.